Hi everybody, it's Diana with Stamping with Di. Welcome to my YouTube channel and this week's Mimeograph Monday with a twist. I'm so glad that you're joining me today. If you are new, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. My name is Diana and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator and I'm in Santan Valley, Arizona. So today I'm doing a Mimeograph Monday with a twist. In case you are new, that just means I'm going to case a project out of the catalog and then I'm going to do a twist on it. So I'll be doing two projects and I am watching the video premiere with you in the chat room. So if you have any questions, head on over there and that's where I'll be. If you're watching the replay, leave a comment down below. YouTube will let me know and then I can reach out to you. So as you can see, I got my new glasses. And I'm not sure I like them, to be honest, because they're plastic, like the lenses are plastic, and so they sit on my face, so they're bigger, so you can definitely see the bags under my eyes, but they're bigger, so they sit on my face, and oh my gosh, I am sweating like so bad. So I did have a pair of old glasses, not the ones I had that I was just getting out of. I had a pair of old glasses, and I had them put, so these are just for the computer. These are just for the computer, because they have some sort of blue something or other. So those other ones are just for every day, like they go dark in the sun and all that kind of stuff. But see, these sit off on my face because they have that nose thing. So I think I'm going to have to get different ones. We have time. They're like, oh, you have 30 days. And it's only been a few days and I'm already like sweating full. So yeah. So I think I'll be going back this week and say, I think I need to go back to metal frames with the nose thingies because so if you have any suggestions, let me know. And I can't do contacts because I have a trifocal, and I think I have astigmatism or something. Who knows? Oh, I'm deaf. My teeth are bad. I can't see. I'm always like, if I was a horse, I would be made into glue already because it sucks getting old. But anyways, I've had glasses since, I don't know, grade 7 or something. Okay, so you didn't come here to listen to me talk about all that. But, so anyway, so we're going to have some fun today. So I'm going to spin my camera just for a second and get adjusted. So hold on. The card that I'm going to do today is with the Fields in Bloom. And I just kind of had glanced over this set. In fact, I don't even have it marked that I own it. Where's my little... Can't find my yellow, so now everything is green. I just kind of like glanced over it and it was like, you know, I don't think so. But then the more I thought about it, I'm like, well, it's kind of cool because you can do the scenery, and so I ended up getting it. But so this is the card we're gonna do right here. This one right here, and I have my little recipe. So if you want the recipes, they are on my blog. So if you go over here to my blog, if you go to the top of the page, you'll see where it says current catalogs. Click on that, and then it will open up another page, and it will, then you can get the recipes there. And they are just for current. So I suggest, you know, that you, you know, download that catalog and the recipes so that you have it for the future when that catalog retires. Because once the catalog retires, then I just put the current recipes on there, then you won't be able to get them. Alright, so let's see what we're using today. We are going to be using, so I did some of my stuff ahead of time, like my die cuts and stuff, just to save some time. But it is using the Spotlight on Nature die, the Wanted to Say, and here's that Fields in Bloom. And it is a photopolymer, which means it's the clear. It's the, you know, you can see through it. right? Because we have cling, which is the red rubber, and then we have the photopolymer. But they all mount to the block. So, all right, so let's see here. So let's get up to the card. Now, when I was doing this card, I did notice, like, well, this isn't going to be right. So I'm going to show you how I did to fix it. All right, so we have our designer series paper, and it is the size of the card. Get that off there. So you don't see any card behind there. So I just cut this 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And I'm going to put my glue on here. Because we're going to cover this fully, so I know I can put my glue right on here. And then I'm just going to stick this on here. And then I just kind of go like this. So by using the green tip glue, it gives me a little wiggle room so that I'm able to get that right in place. So now we have this beautiful paper. I love this pattern. And then I personally wish they'd have put the stripes. You saw the stripes that I was gluing. I wish they'd have put them on the opposite, so I would have had this and the stripes on the other. But, you know, it is what it is. All right, so we have this all ready to go. Then we have our big spotlight on nature circle with these pretty flower kind of leaves cut out. And I'm just kind of giving it a little bend so it lays flat, because it just has a little bit of a, there we go, a little bit of a bend from running it through the machine. Okay, so let's see here. We're going to do some stamping. So we are using boho blue, wild wheat, and peach pie. So these are some of the new colors. Now boho we had years ago, like years and years ago. We brought it back. Not as old as Pretty in Pink, right? Pretty in Pink came back too, and that was from when I first started, and that was over 25 years ago, I believe. But we still had Pretty in Pink then, if I'm not mistaken. All right, so here we have the grasses, and we're going to use the wild wheat. And it's a pretty big stamp, so I'm going to ink it up upside down. And then we're going to go right onto our circle. Now this is a two-step stamping, and I don't even know if we say that anymore, but it is. So you have, this is one step, and then we have the second step, which puts the flowers in here. So as you can see, there's like little holes here for us to stamp the little flowers in, and they come from here. So just make it super, super quick. And we're just going to use the peach pie. Now, when I made this card, I was like, wow, the catalog one, just like when I'm doing my video, some people say, wow, that color looks really green, or it looks really blue. It doesn't look true to color, and that is true. You know, it depends on what your computer is doing. It depends what my camera is doing, because sometimes it corrects things. I'm like, well, that looks a little bit different. But the same thing goes with this sample in the catalog. Looked very yellow to me, but it was peach pie. So when I'm stamping it, I'm like, wow, that looks a lot more orange than the catalog one. But I'm just going by what it says. So now I'm looking through, because I want to put my flowers in those holes. And it just finishes that scene. So now you have this field of flowers, or fields in bloom, because that's what it's called. But look how cute is that? Like, it just draws your eye back there. So I love that. All right. Then we're going to do some, I'm going to close these pads, because I don't want to drop my cardstock in there. All right. Then we're going to do boho blue for the sky, because we've got these really cute little clouds. And we're just going to put them in the sky here. So this one's just kind of a little bit there. Ooh, that was lucky it didn't fall onto there. All right, so there's our pretty sky. All right, now I'm going to let this dry a little bit. So while that's drying, I'm going to glue my greeting. So this greeting is from that Wanted to Say, and they want you to do 3 of these. So there's like, it stacks up so that the white piece that layers is thick. So it looks really, really cool. It gives you some dimension to it. So I'm going to glue. So just like, what was I going to say? Oh my gosh, my mind. Oh, just like I glued the DSP to the card, I knew where it was going to lay, so I could put the glue, you know, right on the card. And this is the same way, because I'm just gluing this right onto this, so I know exactly where it has to lay, so I can put my glue kind of backwards, because usually we put glue on what we're gluing. Does that make sense? I would normally put my glue here and then put it down. But since I'm gluing this direct, and I know exactly where it needs to go, and it's going to cover this white totally, I can put my glue on here instead. Now when I glue the blue one, we'll be doing it the regular way. Alright, so we're just going to plop that on there. Now you have this really nice thick background to put our boho blue Celebrate on. It makes it look like really thick cardstock. Alright, but it's going to give it dimension without using dimensionals. Alright, so now we're going to go Celebrate, and we're going to do this like the regular way, right? We're going to glue this to the card. So we're going to put the glue on here. So I'm just going to put little tiny dots because it's pretty thin. So just little dots. And then we'll bring it over, and we're just going to lay this on top of the white. And it just kind of falls in place. You might have to manipulate it just a little bit, but it should rest in place pretty easily. And then I just kind of hold it there. Let me get this, it's drying. We'll let it sit underneath there and dry. Alright, so let's bring our card over. Now this is where I had to change it a little bit. So you'll see, here's the card. So see there's this ribbon around it? So this makes me think, this here sample, I don't know if that's good English, this here sample, alright, this sample here must be just a card front, and that totally makes sense to me. I can't see Stampin' Up! For the samples for the catalog unless they're using the cards, which they totally could. They could be using these cards for whatever, but if they're just using them for samples, they don't need them to be a card, right? They don't need to waste all of this cardstock if they're just using the card front. Because sometimes they'll put the cards on display from the catalog samples at events, and they are stuck on a board, so that's what they're used for. So that makes sense that they have just tied a ribbon around there underneath our greeting. But how am I going to do that, right? How am I going to put this ribbon underneath there, because it's going to hold the card closed, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this over and I'm going to cut this smaller. Okay, so that's going to change the catalog version just a little bit so that I can actually finish the card. So we have our basic white thick. So just like before, so I've scored it. And now this is this piece that I glued this on. So now it's going to be a little bit different. We're going to see, I mean, I could have still cut it like the same, but I trimmed it just a little bit smaller because I'm like, if I'm going to trim it, if I'm going to put this paper back here, I want to be able to see it. All right, so now we're going to do our twine. So it's just going to be a little bit different. Now when I do my twist, that's always when it's really fun. All right, so we're just going to put this twine over. Now this twine is holy moly so thick, it feels almost like burlap. I mean, it is like so thick. It's not my favorite. I mean, I have no filter here. I tell you how I think about things. All right, I don't love everything, but this was used on this card, so I'm using it. All right, so I'm gonna tie this over here in a bow. So there we have that. Okay, so now I'm going to put this on the card, and our bow will be behind there, and we'll be able to open our card. So I am going to put this on with dimensionals though, because we've got that thick old twine back there, and it needs to be thick enough to straddle that, and I don't think glue dots are going to do it. So dimensionals to the rescue. All right. And then I'm just going to put this down. So it's got a tiny, 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 tiny little frame around it. Now, I don't usually do little frames. I usually like to do 1/4 of an inch. But this is like, would that be an 1/8? I think that's an 1/8 of an inch. All right, so now we have this. Now this almost looks like a flower, right? The way that ribbon is all like curly Q. So I'm just going to leave it. It looks kind of cute. All right, so we're going to put this on here. I'm also going to put this on with dimensionals. Because it also has to straddle this big, thick twine on the front. Okay, so that goes on there like that. And I also didn't want to cut this smaller because this uses the big circle of that die, and I wanted to have some edge. So if I'd have cut this smaller, like I said, I usually do 1/4 of an inch, there wouldn't be much paper here. Like you wouldn't see much designer series paper around the edge, so I kept it pretty small. All right, like I said, I could have totally just cut it the same size again, and then just, but this just makes it a little easier. All right, then we're just going to put our Celebrate, and I'm just using the green tip glue because it already has that dimensional look because we have put all of those layers, those 3 layers of white behind the blue. All right, so it's going to go on there. That looks pretty straight. And then we're also going to use some some embellishments. And the embellishments are the 2024-2026 in color shimmer gems. And we used these last week. In fact, I still had them on my desk. I'm like, where are those gems? And there they were on my desk. All right, so we're going to put some of these around. We're just going to kind of plop them around the card. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So there we go. So there is the catalog version. Now, if we look, I could have brought my, I probably could have brought my clouds down a tiny little bit, but that's okay. All right, so here's the one I did earlier, and this is the one because I always do one ahead, and then don't go away because I still have to do my twist. But this is I always do one ahead of time usually, unless I am using maybe some designer series paper that I don't even have enough left to do a bunch of cards and then I only do one, or maybe it's a kit. But this one I did do ahead of time. And that's when I realized while I was making that, how was I going to put that ribbon? Because it just wasn't going to work. So that's why I figured it out. But I think they look pretty close. It is super cute. All right, so I'm going to clean up a little bit and then we're going to get to the twist. For my twist card, I am using the same Designer Series paper. I just flipped it over. I'm still going to use the same, what is it? Oh my gosh, what is it? Wanted to say for my greeting, because I love that. Now I'm not going to layer the white. I'm actually going to put some dimensionals on it this time. But this time I grabbed the Thoughtful Journey Designer Series paper instead. And I cut it out with that same die, that Spotlight on Nature. And I thought, because it looked already like the sky and grasses and things like that. So I grabbed that. All right, so let's see here. Put that over there. Okay. I am going to glue this so it has a little bit of time to dry while we are working on the rest of the card. I also changed my ink colors based on that Thoughtful Designer Series paper. So I just kind of looked through and saw what had boho in it, because I really wanted to use the boho again. And I just loved how that Thoughtful Journey truly looked already like a scene. Alright, so we're going to stick this on here like we did before. But again, I'm just doing one layer of the white instead of stacking them this time. So that looks pretty good. I'll just set it off to the side and put that on top of it to give it a little bit of weight. Alright, so we have this. So I already cut it out. Now I'm going to use Petunia Pop. My grass is going to be Mossy Meadow. So let's do our Mossy Meadow first with our grass. So by using the Designer Series paper, we're, like I said, we're giving it already kind of that look of like a scene is already there. But since it is Designer Series paper, I picked some darker inks so that it would show when I was stamping on it. All right. So I'm going to stamp it down a little ways, because I also want to still be able to see some of that Designer Series paper on the top. Because this way it kind of looks almost like a mountain back there, and this almost kind of could be like a little tree. Alright, and now we have our Petunia Pop. Another new color. I'll flip it over, I can see better. Especially when they're big like this. I want to make sure I have them all inked up. Alright, and now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to bring this over and try to find our holes for our flowers. And I think they're right there. And if it's not perfect, hey, it's just a field of flowers, right? And give it a good push. And now you have this beautiful, you can see that grass in the background coming through. See, it's like a little darker there. And to me, this looks like a hill. All right, so it just adds a little bit more to the card than just stamping it on the plain white. Now, this already has clouds, so I'm not even going to use the cloud stamp because there's always already some beautiful clouds there. All right, so let's bring our card over. We'll let that dry because it is designer series paper, so it's going to take just a tad bit longer to dry than the cardstock. It takes the ink a little bit different. All right, so let's put this on the inside of our card. I was going to use boho blue striped, and then I realized I had not ordered the 2023, 2024, or whatever, 2023, 2025 designer series paper pack because we changed the pattern. So I'm like, well, I'm just going to go with the peach because it goes with the designer series paper anyway. But now I do have that in my shopping cart, so I can take advantage of that bonus days. All right, so this is just going to go on here. It has a little tiny border again because of that size of the circle. I could have used a smaller circle, but I just stuck with that same size. All right, so we're going to put this on here, and I flipped it over. I felt like that this with all these flowers was a little bit too busy for this with all of the scenery going on. So I chose just to do the stripes instead. So I'm just going to put that little tiny border around. Okay. Now I'm also going to change my ribbon so that I didn't change the card tons, really. But it does have a totally different look to it. All right, so I'm going to pick, this is the silver and white metallic, because I have all of this color going on, right? I have these stripes here, I have this going on, and I just want to add some sheer ribbon. So we're going to see, it's going to kind of be invisible, except you're going to see that pretty silver sparkle happening. And I'm going to do a faux bow. So what I mean by faux bow is I'm going to cut this ribbon, and we're just going to glue dot it to the back of the card. Now this is kind of like a meshy ribbon, so I can feel that glue dot touching my finger when I'm putting it on. So I always put Scotch tape. But this one, definitely, you want to put Scotch tape. So I'm just putting it not quite in the center. It's a little bit below. And we're just going to pull that across, wrap it around, and then the glue dots are going to hold that on the back of the card. And then I'm going to take some Scotch tape, because I really want that to stay on there. And this is just going to, guarantee that it holds on there, because I'm going to tug on it a little bit when I tie that other piece on there. All right, so let's bring our card over. I chose to keep the card still thick, basic white, that we had a nice plain card base. I'll just stick this on the inside so it's out of the way. Okay. And then this is going to go on the front. So I'm going to put this on now so that it is going to be nice and sturdy while I'm wrapping and tying my bow. So I'm going to put this on like I did before with some dimensionals. I could use glue dots because this isn't as thick as the twine, but I still like that little extra pop that the dimensionals are going to give the card, so I'm using them. And then this is just going to go right on the front there. So it has a tiny, tiny little border like the other one. Okay. And then we're going to take some of the ribbon that I looped around there and glue dotted behind, and we're going to simply put that through there, and we're going to tie it in a knot. And I'm going to bring it over to the edge as close as I can, because that circle takes up quite a bit of space on the card. So I'm just going to tie it in a knot. It's not a bow, it's just a double knot. I guess that's what you would call that. Okay. And I'll just trim. So you have this ribbon that's almost invisible, right? Because you can see the lines through it, but then you see that pretty silver sparkle to it. All right, so let's bring this over, and we're going to put this on with dimensionals too. So I'm going to put them on the top. Now this is a piece of designer series paper, so it's a little flimsier than the cardstock. So I'm also going to put a dimensional here and here, and this way I know I'm straddling that ribbon in there. If I put them here, I might be on the ribbon, so by doing this, I know I'm definitely straddling that ribbon. And that's just going to support the center of my circle better. Okay, so now let's bring our scene over. And that looks good right there. That looks so cool, doesn't it? All right, and then we want our celebrate. And I'm going to put my celebrate on with dimensionals this time. So I'm going to have to trim them a little bit on the C area, because that's kind of skinny. So I'm just going to cut my dimensionals at an angle there, so that it's skinny enough to go on my C. And then put them on the card. And I'm going to put it down. I don't want to put it up here in the center, because then I would hide all this like mountainscape. I don't want to put it up here and hide the beautiful, beautiful sky. So I'm going to bring it down here a little bit. You can still see the flowers. So I'm going to put it down here. And then, since I used that silver ribbon with that pretty silver edge to it, I wanted to do bling that kind of emphasized that silver. So I'm grabbing the adhesive backed metallic gems. And these, if I'm not mistaken, are the goodies for this month. I'm looking around. Yes, they are. These are the goodies for the month of July. So if you place an order, if you order 75 before tax and shipping in my store in the month of July, I will send you a pack of these in August with your July thank you card. All right, so I'm going to use these because I want to emphasize that silver. So I'm just going to plot these around. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. All right. So what do you think of that? Now, I did one earlier, and you can decide. I put the gems both on the stripe, but I also put them on the card because I couldn't decide what I liked better. So I thought, well, I'll do them a little bit differently, and then you can say, oh, I like, whichever one. But yeah. All right, so let me show you the catalog version. So here's the catalog version. Remember, I did change it a little bit in order to be able to put that ribbon on there, because I do believe that, the card in the catalog is probably just a card front or like a postcard that doesn't open. And then here is my twist. It's basically the same card, the same designer series paper. I just switched it over. I still use the basic white thick for my card base. This is the same. This one I did stack 3 pieces of the white behind the blue celebrate. This one I just put on, or this one had the three. This one I put on with dimensionals. So you can see it's got a little lift to it because of that. And I wanted it to be raised away from the designer series paper. So that's why I chose to do that instead of doing it this way. Now I could have still put this on with dimensionals and popped it, but I didn't. So let me know what you think. I think they both are super, super cute. And I'm so glad that I got that stamp set. All right, so hold on a minute. Let me say, see you later, alligator. So yeah, I love that. And I love doing it on that designer series paper because it looks so pretty. It looks almost like a photograph with the sky in the background. So yeah, so let me know what you think. Let me know if you have that Fields in Bloom. Maybe if you don't, you have it on your wish list now. Don't forget about the bonus days this month. So when you order $50 before tax and shipping in my store, you're getting a $5 coupon from Stampin' Up! To spend in August. So keep that in mind. All right, so I will see you tomorrow for my Teach Me Tuesdays. And it will be episode 228, and that will be 3 o'clock Arizona time, same channel. Thanks so much for spending some time with me, and I'll see you tomorrow. All right, bye for now.